You guys may know that I've been on CRS before, so I know a little bit about them, but obviously they've changed a lot since I've been there. They're a good team, I'll give them that. But I think Voyboy is a lot better top laner than mid laner. Like, he's a good mid laner for now. I mean, no doubt about it, but I think he was a better top laner. The Quas is a good top laner too, so you know, it's what CRS just gets all the best top laners.
I mean, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good top lane.
I mean, sometimes in mid lane, but more in the top lane, kinda.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we do have more LCS action coming your way with Team CRS versus Complexity. Right now, these teams are once again tied in the standings.
Yeah, CRS was starting to pull away from last place, and this week was their chance to comfortably put some space between themselves and the bottom teams. But yesterday in the game against Evil Geniuses, they once again let a mistake derail their momentum entirely. This time it came at the Baron Pit, where Evil Geniuses were able to take out 4 team members of CRS in a team fight and then grab Baron and complete control of the game. And honestly, Riv, it will be disastrous for CRS to go 0-2 this week when you consider their schedule.
And now they're up against the third team in that tie for last. And Complexity is riding high after picking up their second win against Cloud9 this split.
Yeah, and honestly, Complexity have won 4 games now, but the problem is they don't really know how they're doing it. What makes them dangerous is they're not afraid of anyone, and they're willing to make risky moves that other teams don't. They kind of operate with a different system for judging risk and reward than most teams, and then they just kind of surprise people. ROBERTxLEE actually had a tweet yesterday that sums up this team best. He wrote, "Top teams excel at abusing your opponents by studying them. But how do you study against a team that doesn't know what they're doing?"
That's right. A prime example of not knowing what they're doing right here, but benefiting from structured chaos by Westrice's wild
He just goes in. That's
one after the other.
Yeah, you can see this again and again, but then there's the one that worked. And it was just mind-blowing because it completely destroyed Cloud9. It's because they kept going again and again. Eventually, shot one in.
That's structured chaos, real, and they were using it. We're going to get right into this one. Let's get to the roster rundowns. On blue side, it's CRS. That will mean it's Quas in the top lane, Dominate in the jungle, Voyboy in the mid lane, Cop at 80 carry, and Xpecial at support.
And on the red side, it is the Wild Complexity. Westrice in the top lane, Kez in the jungle, Prawley on mid lane, ROBERTxLEE on 80 carry, and of course, Stash, Bubbadub on support.
Complexity always having fun. A team that, if they laugh and champion select, usually has a good result in winning as well.
Yeah.
Something is just tied together there.
Got to keep having fun. That's one thing. Even when they very first came into the LCS at the start of the split, they were very much completely accepting that, you know what, we're probably going to have a lot of bumps along the way. They're coming into a very established North American LCS with really good teams that have pedigree of success in a sense, and they're trying to break into that. And the teams they've taken down are the most dominant teams in the LCS. They took down Cloud9 twice. CRS has been in the LCS since the very beginning as well. And they want to be able to take these guys down for a second time as well.
ROBERTxLEE moving his eyebrows. We'll see Bubbadub move the mustache. We'll see how skilled these guys really are. There you go.
Yeah, double hand warmers.
I think he may still have the fastest first blood with his Thresh play during one game. Complexity, like you said, a team that knew they were going to have bumps, and I think that helps the most during a period of growth, knowing that those will be there because you don't bite each other's head off. Something that Cloud9 would always say is, when Sneaky shifted into that one fight with Ezreal, that was kind of the blow-up on social media on a lot of things for a while, but the comment from Cloud9 was, we don't need to yell at him, he knows what he did wrong, and I feel like Complexity kind of rolls with those same punches.
It seems like it. They're definitely not the team to blame. You don't see Prawley dying in mid lane, or especially, I think the biggest example of this from Complexity is if we think all the way back until the promotion tournament, where in the game in which they qualified, I think Westrice was playing Lee Sin as a split pusher and was 0-5 or something. But he continued to split push. By the end of the game, he was drawing 1 or 2 or even 3 people up to chase him in split pushing situations.
Yeah.
And he turned a really bad game into a Complexity victory. But the main thing was because they were staying positive the entire time. And it's very clear that Complexity doesn't let mistakes affect their attitude.
That's right. You heard Westrice also talking how he used to play for CRS, a team that's been around for quite some time. Have also had some changes of their own. You heard Westrice just talking before about Voyboy's prowess in the top lane and how he kind of made a name for himself with Akali and the rest of his assassin champions. Now that goes to Quas. We'll see how that works out. Dominate's been there forever as well, and CRS is a team that can really bring out all those old aspects if they need to.
Voyboy's Yasuo in particular has been very good this split. As well. There's a pretty good chance that that gets banned away, but if it's not, we might end up seeing another Yasuo-Tristana combo that Complexity brought out. Cop did play Tristana yesterday. Voyboy hasn't been able to get his hands on Yasuo very much in the past.
That's true.
But it would be a very good thing for them. It's kind of taking a top lane style champion. Melee is something Voyboy's excelled on in the past. Bringing it into mid lane and kind of infusing those play styles, more so than just playing a conventional mage for Voyboy.
We did see him pick up that Syndra yesterday. He was able to make some impact plays, but he also has the Orianna in that champion pool for himself. We've seen that quite a bit lately with the kind of priority on AD carries being safe. More shields, more happy the AD carry.
Wow, a Tristana ban. So, not letting Robert do that anymore after his unique Tristana performance yesterday. Static Shiv first rush in the mid lane, taking Wraith Camp again and again. Don't get to see it again today, though.
No, not again. The Rengar's out first. The Kassadin will follow. They're just seeing what else gets banned out. And they know with that Trist being banned out, obviously going to leave something other up in any of the positions.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's going to be up here. Kale is currently unbanned.
I'd be surprised.
It's something that Curse had a rough time against yesterday when they left it unbanned.
Kayle Lee Sin. Kayle Lee Sin. Who's it going to be? Yeah. That's a Kale. Easy last ban coming out. We saw even Inox. He had a bit of a hard time, but then did well. You can't let Kale through.
And I think it was a pretty cut and dry choice there for Complexity because Curse isn't the team to play Lee Sin.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's a good point.
I don't believe they've played Lee Sin this entire split. It's just not within Dominate's repertoire.
No, hasn't even been in the top lane.
They do get in the top lane, though, is that Lulu. Oh, speaking of top lane Lee Sin, something you almost never get to see nowadays.
Were you just talking about that promotion? No.
Westrice promotion, 0-6 and victory.
And victory.
For Westrice. But yeah, you never see top lane Lee Sin anymore because with there really being this tier of junglers that pretty much is just a Lee Sin, you so often have teams banning one away, picking the other, or forcing two bans. The fact that neither of them were picked or banned, and Curse decided not to go with it, great job by Complexity to snatch them both up.
Yeah, see what Dominate does. Eves, they banned it out themselves. Now he's probably wishing they didn't. Rengar is also out, so you can see the focus on Dominate. Have fun here. Jarvan's still up for him. Definitely something he has had.
No, Rengar's banned.
Yeah.
Something he went back to.
And they'll leave it. He wants to see the rest of the team.
Yeah, at this point they have to. There's much higher priority picks, seeing as Complexity jumped, put all their coins in the jungler basket. Getting the Braum Lucian is a really potent combination. Getting the double shots with the passive procs is painful.
Setting up that concussive blow right away. You're right. It is a dangerous, dangerous lane to be playing in. It'll really be up to Curse to kind of get that match in favor of themselves, depending on what they look at. Slow picks here coming in. That Orianna still sits available to be played. Don't really know how it will be switched up. That Quas could still, or Lulu could still be going mid.
Pretty much the only thing Complexity could pick against that combo is the Morgana, because it's so easy to proc the Braum passive. Once a Q lands, the Black Shield preventing the stun is pretty much the only way to avoid death.
Bubbadub very strong on the skill shot champions. Always hitting the hooks, always hitting the bindings. Please, dear Lord, lock that in. Hovering on the Cannon Master. Looking to pick up something in the mid lane, something in the jungle. What are they going to be having? Pantheon is still up. The initiations from Dominate, a little lackluster on his recent Pantheon plays, can really cause that kind of initiation to be second-guessed. And they cannot be second-guessed man drops. 11 seconds left on the clock. Just the hover onto Poppy. Quas does love his Poppy.
Oh, Skarner.
We'll be getting out of the game. Just Dominate, break out the Skarner and the Jax combination. Leaping in and the Dive Buddy composition comes out.
Skarner. He has received some generous buffs in the last patch. He now has a stun, which is an important thing. Functioning somewhat like Braum's, but only triggered by himself.
That's a good way to put it.
3 spells, and the next auto attack will stun from him. He's very fast as far as jungle clear is concerned. And it is right in the style that IWillDominate has liked to play in the past, where you can power farm your jungler. And and then arrive and be very powerful to just go in and fight people.
How difficult can this be for him coming up the fights, knowing he's got to dodge cocoons and bindings?
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
It's a melee champion that scatters up to people
Right.
and is very susceptible to line skill shots. So he's going to have to be very creative in the ways he initiates.
All right, kind of like a swipe from the side. Most likely we see coming from Eve, a play style that Dominate himself loves and probably does. Lock in that Orianna, a little bit of protection for the AD carry. And shields on the side of Complexity.
All right, then. So an Orianna from Prawley. Try and match up against the Lulu. Voyboy's mid Lulu is really good. He was actually pretty much the first person to play Lulu in a solo lane, all the way back in Season 2 when he played top Lulu. So he's always been really good at that. They're one of the teams that has a lot of success with Lulu mid, even though pretty much everyone runs Lulu top nowadays.
It's one of those great things about having somebody that played top and now plays mid.
Yeah. Quas plays a lot of mid lane champions. One of these days,
Oh man, we're going to get a Swain.
we're going to get a Swain and a Poppy.
Gonna have
These
to.
days.
Maybe even the Aatrox sometime soon. It's been more of kind of a Europe love.
True.
Not much in North America. The players are loading onto the Rift, so let's see who you've been voting for over on LOLesports.com. No lying. The prediction's now going in favor of Curse with your votes. Maybe it'll be true.
Yeah, if you want to change that vote down the line, or just double down and say the same thing, tweet hashtag CRS win or hashtag COL win to the @LOL Esports Twitter account. Prawley always has his knee up.
Yeah. It's
Weird.
the half hot shot sitting
Yeah.
style. Hot shot would have both legs up, which I've actually tried before, and it's incredibly uncomfortable. They'll play solo queue for hours like it.
Prawley is one of the few players that drinks coffee as well. Most players, if they're going for a caffeine boost, go for
Like wired when you're playing.
an energy drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the diuretic properties Prawley enjoys, so it's good stuff.
Very good play indeed. Let's see if he can come out strong with his coffee in this game. See if he has any impacting shockwaves. I have no puns. I'm trying. Freak must think really
need
hard
puns.
on these.
I just wanted to mention that he has coffee. I mean, he's playing Orianna.
Oh, man. Coming into this game, we do have the Bruiser tops. Lee Sin onto Jax. It should be a good game. Knowing that Complexity likes to get that lead early and carry the snowball is almost a necessity because Curse can win from behind. That's something they are very good at. So coming into this game, Complexity would love to get their early game lead.
Yeah, and if they do so, the attack speed slow from Westrice's Lee Sin is actually very good against Quas's Jax late game. There used to be, when top lane Lee Sin was more prevalent, he used to be a counter pick to Jax. So if we see this 1v1 matchup between Quas and Westrice, they really did kind of pick into that counter pick.
Yeah. And it seems like we're going Flask as well to Westrice's Doran's Blade to start. He knows he can put out damage and keep it safe. See if Kaz can also get things going. Still gelling with the team 3 weeks in. I was listening to Prawley's interview yesterday with Travis, and he's saying that the team's just really been gelling together. Everything's kind of working out when they do try the strategies.
Ooh, sweet ward kill. Kez should have probably not left that ward so close. However, one thing to keep in mind when you're doing a 5-man invade like that is it's something LMQ learned early on in the LCS. Ward your own jungle entrance that is perpendicular to the one you just went for. So they go for the enemy red buff. They needed to ward their own red buff.
Right.
Because that's the most likely place the other team invades. Because what's happened now, actually, is Complexity is in the red buff. Or rather, Curse invaded the red buff. Complexity knows they are there. But Curse actually has no knowledge of where Complexity could be, outside of not exactly where they are. So with all that maneuvering, it's actually Complexity that has more level 1 knowledge than Curse, even though Curse is the one that took the risk of the invade.
Let's see if they do anything with it. They are going to get the lane matchup. So some of the deep wards are going to tell them that around the red buff. And knowledge that the red isn't stolen, given over from Xpecial. So see if that changes anything. Knowing the standard lanes, though, Quas gets to the top lane. Westrice is going to teleport there. Start off this matchup. Doesn't look like too much more invading would come with this.
Yeah, one big thing about this jungle matchup is Skarner clears fast. Faster than Kez will be able to clear. So Dominate is going to be trying to zoom through this jungle. And then, especially with no wards being up, even though he doesn't have a real way of knowing that, his ganks could very well work if he comes in behind Robert above.
It's a scary thing to see that Scorpion coming at you in lane. It's fast.
He's real fast now.
It is very fast. Nothing to be joked with. The counter-strike's going to come up. Westrice is still in range for that. Obviously, going to take the damage. He doesn't hit the Tempest on the way out to trade.
Yeah.
Small things like that are easily going to let a lane go.
And Westrice is already 2 levels in, but hasn't leveled up his shield or his lifesteal yet. So the sustain is going to be a little bit rough. Westrice might be in a bit of trouble because he's already burned his teleport too.
Still 2.
A lot of
Quas knows it. He hasn't seen the safeguard used back to a minion. You see a Tempest cripple, safeguard. Just farm it up. He's seen it be safe for now. There he gets it down that time. Very nicely done. Quas feeling the pressure.
Interesting that instead of warding the side, he kept the ward so that he could leap strike back. And
Quas talking over to QC.
Also has a small issue.
No discussion amongst the team, so nobody can get any extra knowledge. Still a pretty even game to start out here. You can see the lanes are quite even, except for the AD carries. Quas going to be rejoining the game, as you can see, or here, I should say. But it's really up to Curse, making the first move to get themselves ahead. I don't say up to them, but I feel like they're going to be the first team to do it.
Yeah. The main thing you can notice just early on, we don't actually get time to touch on this often. Quas is just restarting because of a small particle bug. His client will be back fine. Is the gold differential between the Skarner and the Elise. We just had it on that screen a second ago.
Good call.
Because Elise went for the early gank and then Dominate opted for the full clear of the jungle, that's the gold difference in the cost of that gank. So what happened with Kez's Elise is he did blue buff, 1 camp, other buff. That gives you a 900 gold and gives you level 3. Whereas Dominate has done the full clear of the jungle and he's a full 100 gold higher. So even though he didn't get the gank off, that is actually the cost of a jungle gank early on in the game. You're opting to give those 2 small camps away for a gank top, and it costs 100 gold.
If it's something that could be a completed item for yourself, back, you know how much it sucks to back when you know you need 100 gold and you didn't look at it before you left the lane with a minion wave right there? Man, that's just such a sinking feeling because you're like, I could run out and get wolves, but by that time I would have generated the gold.
Yeah.
Do I just stand here? It's a tough decision.
We used to talk about it a lot more, how the efficiency of the jungler is one of the big things, because so many times you can take camps on the way to your ganks as long as you're doing them quickly. But then with all the deep wards nowadays, if you want to actually be creative with your ganks, you pretty much just have to abandon your jungle and sneak through weird spots.
Head right to it. See Westrice back to the top lane. Let's see how Dominate actually sticks to his jungle. He did actually go with the stone first for regen, because he can clear out real quick. It's going to be coming from his crowd control, all that power in the beginning. He also picks himself up an early pink ward for Curse to start grabbing some solid map control. Not too much of a back and forth here in the top lane. Quas keeps himself safe as we get back in after that pause. Seems like everything is right fine.
Yeah, Kez got some slick counter jungling in.
Yeah.
This will hurt Dominate's efficiency, as we were talking about, because he spent all the time to run up to that side of his jungle and the extra time to try and scout out Kez, and he missed all of it. So Kez gets right back in the game there.
Having that ward is necessary. It's dangerous going into a Skarner with that speed, especially with Quas being there as well.
All kinds of trouble Dominate's running into. Walking through wards, dodging out Kez.
Complexity definitely put a priority on early game knowledge. They're not just okay with winning the lanes. They want to get upper hands any way that they can. Kez's first attack, but may not work the same against a Skarner. Pulling off that one without full vision of what was over to the dark side.
Dominate got a Spiderling, though.
Yeah.
Decided to kill one of those. Still a little potent. But yeah, obviously right there, Kez actually some pretty nice moves. Pull himself ahead. Mainly the gold he stole away from Dominate is the most valuable.
I feel like Kez has really been able to open up an avenue of versatility for Complexity a bit. Pulling out the Nocturne, being able to pull out a few. Broken Shard did that as well, but they're really coming out with wins with the picks Kez is bringing.
Yeah, it's mainly the vision control that Kez brings the team. Much greater than that Broken Shard was doing. Broken Shard had his own qualities, but Kez really allowing Complexity, when they're making those really risky plays, to have a bit more knowledge about what they're jumping into.
Himself already picking up the pink wards. Won't be surprised to see wards in his inventory constantly. Some 40+ wards a game coming out of him. 5.5 minutes in, probably in the mid lane, almost level 6 between these two. Dragon's going to be that much more enticing, especially since we have the standard lane matchup going on. Voyboy's making sure to see, did he back? I think he backed.
Voy has already purchased a sweeper at the very start of the game for Lulu here. So it seems like he wants to try and shove Prolly in and then sweep the wards so he can have free roam from side to side. But it also means his own coverage is going to be diminished. Oh, they get the slow.
There's that slow.
He wants a stun.
Third hit, one more. Lock it up. Gonna be the hit on the way down. Polymorph can't get in range of Kaz. Just out of mana for Voyboy and a great dissonance as well.
Big thing is the mana right there. They would have been able to burn a flash if Voyboy had enough mana for that one, but he has been so heavily focused on the laning phase.
Seeing this Lucian versus Caitlyn lane. Really, a lot of people thinking that Lucian bullies them all out. ROBERTxLEE playing very well though. Westrice putting himself in a little dangerous spot knowing he had the siege minion wave, but he still takes a good chunk of damage.
Yeah, the Crystalline Flask there for Quas, giving him a lot of good things.
Yeah.
The biggest thing hit about Jack's top lane in the 4.10 patch is the loss of early sustain, especially from Doran's Blades. Instead of it being 5 life on hit for melees, it's 3% lifesteal, which doesn't even out until about 179 AD, and that's if you don't factor in armor. So it's almost never as good for a melee top laner as the old Dorans. So he starts Flask, puts that early gold in to give himself a bit more sustain and hopefully keep pace with Westrice's DC.
Picking up that pickaxe. Voyboy looking to be going back here soon after getting the blue buff. Maybe not now. He's going to get full mana out of this. Also has both summoners up, so kill potential could possibly be there. Good guy Dominate knocking this one down. And we're going to continue back to the mid lane. That's 61 to 56, and it looks like the Athenes is still going to be right in the hands of Prolly as soon as possible. Voyboy just hasn't really gone back second time.
Well, actually, see, Prolly has talked to me a little bit about potentially different builds for the mid lane. He'll still go Chalice, but
Okay.
we'll see how he adapts that build a little bit later. He has something in store for us.
Interesting.
Leave the suspense for now.
I am suspended.
If it's Athenes, then just pretend I didn't say anything.
Okay. 8 minutes on the clock. Transfer over for Prolly. Moves could possibly be made for the Dragon now. Second buffs have been picked up. No real aggression has even been shown by either team. We've kind of seen that all day, that somebody would try to pick off second blue, go for Dragon. Very lax play here coming in for Complexity and Curse.
Yeah, typically this is probably in favor of the Skarner player who wants to farm a lot early.
That's true.
Once he's level 6, his ganks become potent. Flash ulting is oftentimes a kill. It's a little bit harder against the Morgana. They can predictably black shield the guy and you end up flashing into a face full of nothing.
Setting Bubbadub up to possibly the MVP here if he can hit those black shields.
Black shield the target, then bind him. Everyone can just focus down Skarner.
We said that is going to be hard for Dominate. He's got a lot of binded skill shots.
That was cute. Westrice threw the Q as Quas was going to jump for a CS because he knew.
Both teams kind of afraid to get into anything here. Definitely giving each other respect, as they should. Both teams that have been able to take down top names in the LCS. Nothing to be toyed with. They know the early lead could easily cost the entire game.
Yeah, especially against Complexity. Complexity has been a team that when they get an early lead just absolutely crush people. It's because they make so many risky, bold moves. They're very experienced with it. I almost kind of liken them a bit to a college basketball team, for instance, where they have all these moves that work really, or even a player, they have all these moves that work really great in college, but when you move to a higher level of competition, they don't always work as well. Although, here comes getting tough.
Let's see if this move works. They get the crowd control sectioned off nicely, and they do get the kill down. Required, necessary.
Wow.
We start to get the game moving. One kill going over the Kez, as a little action in the bottom lane shows that Complexity seems to have the upper hand here, but Cop and Xpecial a little low on mana to be fighting.
Nowhere to run right there. But yeah, it's kind of like a college basketball team. They could play a zone defense, which is great in college because teams don't have very good outside shooting, for instance. You try to run more of a zone defense in the NBA, There's much better three-point shooters. They shoot threes on you all day, and it doesn't work nearly as well. So for Complexity, it's like these aggressive moves. You can make a bunch of aggressive moves when you have a gold lead from your laning phase, but as soon as you make it to the LCS, laners are better, you don't have gold leads, and oftentimes their aggressive moves backfire because they're fighting with gold deficit.
Well, they're driving to the key here. It's going to be Dominate with the steal. No goaltending on that one. Kez is going to be going down as well. They're going to need some subs after this one. ROBERTxLEE and Bubbadub both getting pushed out. Very low mana bars out there, and we couldn't even really get Prowly in for the fight.
What a game-changing moment in the game, because if Complexity actually gets that dragon, they put themselves in a gold lead position where they could just make those aggressive plays we were talking about and maybe just cascade it into victory.
One more.
But Dominate just walks in,
saunters right in,
the smite on the leads, and then Quas with the three-man stun into Luluwald made the rest of the Complexity team unable to support Kez.
Well, that's Curse's early game lead that they wanted. Complexity loving those early game dragons, and actually cost them a little bit of ground there. Still up in gold by 200, still have a turret, and that first blood is definitely not going to hurt for Kez as well if he wants to keep getting those deep wards in. If you're going to be placing those deep wards, you got to have the money and safety to place them.
Yeah.
They're already getting them down, so priorities are on the line.
Yeah, the Westrice Lee Sin will be really interesting to track how long he can beat the Jax right here, because he has a level of power right now that he can really take on Jax quite well.
Yeah, he can outlast that in power smack now. You can see him trading easily with Quas. Quas's teleport is down, so he's not really going anywhere anytime soon.
And you can see Westrice has maxed his E as well.
Yeah.
Because he's really just looking for that attack speed slow. The cripple is a 60% attack speed slow, and Jax is one of the most auto attack speed reliant champions in the game. It's why the Lee Sin pick against Jax used to be so popular.
Right.
And it's all the more surprising why Quas picked into it. They want the team fight potential, and they're hoping to be able to bypass this painful laning.
And that was a real quick pickup for them as well. When they first chose Lulu, as we see Dominate coming up top here, the ward could be there for Westrice, and the shield, his safeguard. He was able to use that just a second ago. Doesn't really need it as he flashes out. But yeah, looking at kind of the champion select overall, they're not having a lot of fun. Westrice shutting down the counter there. Dominate can't get in for any more good ganks. Hopefully they can start getting their kills from more objectives, because it seems like it's still strength in the laning phase when they go back to it for Complexity.
Still an incredibly close game as well, and it's the laning strength that Complexity has right now. If we had more big team fights, it definitely feels like Curse has substantially more control and damage in those. So this will be very much an extended laning split push game for Complexity, where they're hoping to pick people off and mainly just maintain laning control without allowing people to group up.
Fine for them as well. We've seen the Caitlyn play. Once you get the Infinity Edge and the crit behind that, completely zeroing out other AD carries and champions on the map. So Robert's more than happy to keep farming as well.
Yeah, and he's doing quite a good job of it right here.
Good clip. Good lead over Curse Xpecial. And Cop in the bottom lane. You really can't get anything activated. Seeing how aggressive this lane can be, the passive shots, they're not even really able to get any concussive blows on to activate aggression. So far, the only thing Cop has found, along with Xpecial, is that support or assist in the bottom lane.
Westrice is drawing a lot of attention from Curse right now and is eluding that pressure. We'll have to see if Prowly can get some mid lane turret damage based off of that. So it's kind of on Westrice right now to draw as much as possible, and more
He's still
importantly,
creating it, yeah.
Yeah, more importantly for the team to be able to capitalize off of that. You can't just have him running away from 2 and 3 people all game unless the rest of Complexity is making advantage of those numbers.
That was pretty sweet. Cop feels like he can trade back a bit more. Bubbadub just puts himself right in the front. Knows he could take one, but flashes on that. Shield is down. He makes sure he's safe.
Nice little bout of aggression right there.
Curse trying to gain back a little bit more. They're not afraid to put down the pressure. They do have to be careful. ROBERTxLEE hits a few of those headshots. Going to be very bad news. Dominate indeed. Walking by a pink ward.
The pink ward Sai, unfortunately, right there. Very important.
Man, if I had a nickel for every time someone walked by that brush, I'd probably still be casting. 15:05. Oh man. Thought he was going to get hit up a few more times. The binding wasn't there due to the minion wave blocking it out.
Interesting here, as Dominate walked by that ward in the bottom lane to press, Kez went over to the top lane as well, and they're really trying to pressure that interior turret, specifically keep Quas down. We might actually see the beginning of lane swapping right now because they need to send Quas help. Oh, they want to kill him, but the support arrives!
Kick him away, extra little armor, magic resistance. Do they really want this? They get the lockdown from Dominate on, a few more spells, and he is locked up. They're just going to go ahead and drag him away. Dominate puts the sting down, and they put Westrice down.
This is the cost, though. Xpecial went to help Jax, which meant Cop gets punished for it. ROBERTxLEE and Bubbadub will be able to take this turret on the next wave, especially with how quickly they're shoving in.
Nice little bit of damage. The Peacemaker makes it quick and easy for this turret to be going down, and then they are already hovering towards the top side. They're going to be rushing up at least to cover that ward vision. Make sure they're safe on the exit.
Trying to make the turret kill as even as possible.
Cop's like, please stop, just give it to me. He gets himself back into farm mode, but he's now 20 CS down throughout that lane, and he has the assist coming out of it as well.
So this is the important part of the game here with the Dragon Pings coming down. 3 seconds. Robert not going back to base, but Cop is. So the timing of this could not be worse, considering Curse Smite stole the last one. They are just content trying to take this one late.
Second one comes up. Complexity's perseverance pays off on this, or just positioning for that fact. Westrice finding Dominate, and it's not something he wants to mess with right away. They actually get the lockup and the wild growth at the same time, giving him time to move. Oh, the shockwave is just on the outside. Only acts as a sombrero for Westrice. Dominate on the burn. Nice ignite from Brawley to get the kill. 1 for 1.
Even so, a little bit messy as far as that fight is concerned. It means Quas has free time with this turret. Jax is the turret killer speed-wise, but this is just Westrice, understanding he's strong for sure, but then not necessarily knowing when to back. And that's one of the big things about Skarner now, is with the stun, it requires, it's so much easier for his allies to help him in the jungle, because when he does get messed up a little bit, the stun will allow his allies to help him out. And Brawley was a little late on that transition, so it ended up kind of leaving Westrice out to dry.
Westrice seems to be in a different mode of comfort here on Lee Sin. Obviously, he loves those champions he can be very mobile on, like Rengar, Lee Sin, and whatnot. But when a player is in their comfort zone, you can definitely tell. Woo. Now down to ROBERTxLEE. A little traded damage with Curse Comp. Looks like Ace in the hole tickling a little bit more than the culling there.
Summoner spell difference, though. Flash heal burned by Robert and nothing burned by Cop. Interesting that Robert actually finishes Vamp Scepter prior than finishing his Infinity Edge, recognizing he needs a little bit of sustain options because he will inevitably take some poke.
Bubbadub now to the mid lane. Xpecial's kind of already been roaming, getting the ward coverage down, helping out, and getting sweeps. Sightstone's already been built up by the supports. Not so much seeing that on the junglers. Coming out with 4.10.
Yeah, the starts down. There was that small phase where everyone was doing the Sightstone junglers. Starting to diminish a little bit with the decreased lane swapping as well. So there's not as many turrets down early, so the really early ward coverage isn't as prevalent, and they're also just buying a lot of consumable wards now.
All right, so a big item threshold hit for ROBERTxLEE. I think we saw a 14-minute Infinity Edge as well today, so his coming in at 19 a little bit later, which means his second item ramp up is also plateau out a little bit, so it'll help have that headshot damage coming in on top of his crits. Dominate with the speed. He's always got to come from the fog of war, and as soon as they see him, such a tell. Just trying to put on some pressure.
Yeah, this game will... I'm not sure if it's going to break open is the thing, because Westrice is committed to this splitting game.
Yeah.
And I think that's all Complexity's game is going to be. They're trying to take down as many other turrets and extend this game as long as possible. It's going to very much be about Kez getting deep ward control with his Elise and then trying to escape alive, and then never letting Curse group up his 5 because they need to keep their lane shoving. Times like this, when Westrice is back in base, means their mid lane is a little bit non-defense. So that's what they have to be careful of, is just not giving windows for Curse to attack.
160 to 177 in the top lane. Quas is going to get big. See what he can start doing to Westrice. If he can dodge out those Tempests and the after cripple, definitely have the attack speed he needs going into these fights. However, we also haven't seen really the huge 5v5 fights coming in from both teams. Kind of pick off so far.
Yep.
Dominate clearing up. Only the kills right now coming from the 3 are on him. So he's definitely made work.
Yeah,
on
he's
his
getting
Skarner.
really strong as well. 6,500 gold on Skarner and the 117 CS is, like we said, right in his wheelhouse as far as the way he likes to play on jumpers.
See Quas.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Too bad he didn't have jump. Could have leaves right back to the minion. Looks like that is going to say, though. Lane's kind of pushed. He decides actually not to go for Wolves. Doesn't have enough time. Westrice pushing with that team at Hydra now in the top lane. Just pushes it right back to him. Westrice been drawing a lot of chaos up there. He's seen Dominate go up a few times as well, but Brawley and the rest of the team aren't really working off it too much. It's gonna wait for the objective game.
As long as Westrice stays up there, he would want to be getting a bigger advantage on Quas, but with the way he's trying to pressure the lane and the fact that he's not necessarily coordinating two-man ganks too frequently, Quas has been in an equal farming clip of Westrice for quite some time. And I don't want to overblow the late game power of Jax, because oftentimes we can fall into that trap where a Jax can get controlled in a team fight, so sometimes his farm level doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Especially with a 60% attack speed slow of Westrice. But even so, Jax will scale better than Westrice, and if he's going to be isolating himself like that, they need to be making ground somewhere.
Well, looks like with 30 seconds on the clock, they foreshadow the dragon quite hard on this. Bubbadub has the control with Dark Binding, and they also have the Pink Ward control, so it's up to Curse. See how well they can do a retake on this Dragon Vision. And it doesn't look like they're even going to want it. Seconds clear in the mid. Complexity could be that extra bit of boost that they need to really carry a snowball into this late game. Usually it comes from ROBERTxLEE in the bottom lane with that Infinity Edge finish. Could definitely make some impacting shots here within this, or a nice ace in the hole to carry the team through a big fight. Top lane's going to get some love here. Whatever happens could cause the Dragon to come out of this. We already see Complexity easily moving on to that, and Curse will draw themselves top just for Westrice. Really?
That's exactly what Complexity wants.
Yeah,
split
that was
pushing.
perfect.
And this is more so Complexity trying to make ground with what Westrice is doing. This is a much more organized type play style from Complexity, not nearly as chaotic as the game they played yesterday, but it will open them up to highly punishing mistakes when they're running this split push like this, and when they're opting into a team composition like Curse has, that even if they're close on gold, Curse will have a much better 5v5 team fight. So if Complexity forgets about that once and gets somehow caught into a 5v5 situation, it could very well lose them the game. So they have to play very risk-free in this one if they want to get a victory.
Right. Not afraid to lose a few fights. Caitlyn getting some good shots on. ROBERTxLEE with his mind on the prize. Took that turret about down to half health. They prep it nicely with the map semi-objective free. I mean, we saw the LMQ Baron going down at 24 minutes, so it's a possibility. Right now, teams still kind of feeling each other out, respecting the power that they have.
Yeah. Also, we have to consider the Lucian versus Caitlyn scaling paradigm right now, because Cop would be much stronger than the Caitlyn with Ghostblade Blade of the Rune King, even though he's down a little bit in CS.
Right.
But when ROBERTxLEE gets to 3 items and beyond, the Caitlyn range combined with the Orianna and Morgana protection could actually be enough for late game Complexity to actually be stronger, as long as they maintain a gold lead like they have right now.
And they take mid down, really flexing the muscles of, didn't even think about the combination Whimsy onto Skarner. That looked scary for a second there. Had to force the flash out of Probably in mid as they took the turret. A few options for Curse to work with here to get that Skarner into the initiation. With his flash up, it means a lot. They can definitely get a fight that they want. But as long as that flash is down, Complexity should be able to run pretty free.
It definitely seems like a lot of sieging and pushing potential to try and enable their run. The minion waves have consistently been on Curse's side of the map, so objectives become more and more difficult to contest. The breaking point of this game to see which team will, I think, come out on top will be the Baron and how Complexity can position around that, because all things generally come together at the Baron pit. It's going to be about split pushing enough to open up a Baron opportunity, but if Complexity doesn't open the doors wide enough, Curse will be able to just catch them inside the Baron pit.
Right. Got to create enough pressure from Complexity. Right now, Curse is doing a good job at getting most of their lanes pushed up. Very good control over Baron with Quas in the bottom lane, making it look enticing, but he'll also be able to farm this out and get pretty big. He's still 40 CS down, trying to get a Blade of the Rune King out to make his fight prowess a little bit stronger as we come up on 26 minutes. Complexity still keeping themselves at about 4,000 gold up. Not too shabby. Very low kill game for these two teams, from what we usually see.
Right, Complexity plays the highest kill games, pretty much everyone in the LCS. They average as a team about 17 deaths per game, normally. Only at 2 this time, so
there's a difference.
Keeping that number down.
Like this team said, it's taken, 6 weeks for quite a few teams, but they're definitely coming into form. Movement towards the top side of Curse's jungle. A lot of movement. The Soul Shackle onto Dominate. Pulls out Wild Growth. Xpecial is forced to put up Unbreakable, and Cop answers back with a culling that just says, please get out of here, to give the team breathing room. A lot was used for just Complexity's presence there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a few ultimates burned on both sides, but then we can see it's all kind of traded back and forth. Curse can still generally wave clear, and Jax can still generally fight against Lee Sin. Complexity would love to get the turret off here. Dominate's got to go.
Oh, he gets that's the cocoon, but he does get the lock-in. Back to the shockwave. It's like ping pong inside this fight. Xpecial goes down. Double kill for ROBERTxLEE. Getting him kills is not a good thing, and that's why Quas takes him down as fast as possible. Quas looking to jump back into this fight as the Grandmaster. One last whack to the head with an empower. Takes down Westrice, and he picks himself up a large surge in gold.
Quas got to the fight before Westrice, so there was no answer for him jumping in. It's huge the fact that ROBERTxLEE got the double kill because he is the late game option for Complexity. They can get there sooner, but if Quas gets too hefty, Westrice won't be able to deal with him. And he will also be the answer to
See that again. So quick. Fast on the cocoon, but faster on the sting.
The cocoon stun completely stopped that, and then, yeah, it was a pretty sloppy initiation for Curse because they were banking on the fact that Quas would get there in time. They actually went a little bit early in that case, and Quas came in a little bit late. But even later was the Westrice answer afterwards, which evened the fight.
What a counter-strike to start that one off from Quas.
Yeah, he's had a couple of those really timely counter-strikes.
We'll see what kind of money he goes back and spends. That makes him very big. Upgrade for Xpecial to the Ruby Sightstone. Get some more HP under his belt there, just to beat Tanky Braum.
Yeah, maybe even just having a few extra wards without going back to base. A lot of times that's undervalued. People generally say, why would I ever upgrade my Sightstone? I can keep 3 wards down anyway. But having that one extra ward worth of ammo in a game such as this, where there is a lot of split pushing and going back will forfeit your map pressure that you have worked so hard to obtain, that extra ward can allow them to stay out of base for a longer period of time.
Now wards going down at Dragon. The war to be fought once again, or I should say the battle of Vision. The War of Dragon. Clearing out one. Traps going down as well. ROBERTxLEE trying to keep that Vision up. And with the bindings down, it gives them a little room.
So this could be that 5v5. Complexity is feeling like they've powered up enough, knowing that Probably has 3 big items. But this is the danger. Curse, if they can't win a 5v5 fight, what are they going to win?
Minus 132 from Unbreakable on that headshot. Really cutting it in half, actually. Looks like they're going to be getting a few good shots onto Dragon. Enough to take it down. Enough to be grabbing themselves. 3 of 4 in the game, and now they could be able to sideswipe here. A good kickback. That's going to be a binding. Is there a shockwave to come in? The Shackle's going to keep him. Throws out the Glacial Fissure, but it's the ball movement commanded by Probably to take down Xpecial.
So instead of Curse contesting the Dragon with the 5v5, they again try and chase after the Lee Sin. Don't get it, burn too many spells doing so, and get initiated upon by Complexity from the backside. Just an out-of-sync move there by Curse. The objective should be the name of the game for their team, especially with the Skarner-Braum combo.
I don't think it could have worked out better that you called out that promotion tournament Westrice. being such a havoc wreaker in the game.
We'll just keep chasing him down.
And he's 0-3-3.
Yeah.
He's not getting a ton of kills. He's just causing chaos. And to respond to it, Curse is giving up too much.
It really seems like they are. They are over-paranoid with this Westrice Lee Sin being as annoying as possible. Because the teamfight presence of that Lee Sin, while it can be good if he lands the right combos on the squishy targets, isn't that impactful. He's just shadowing Jax in most situations, trying to slow down his attack speed, and wanting people to chase him. It's like the old top lane Nidalee.
Really throwing a wrench in the gears when the fight starts for Curse. 317 to 259, so he's even keeping that clip of CS way up there. And Curse just trying to clear out jungle, get back into the game. We see Voyboy picking up a blue elixir here. The answer to start from Quas. Kicked right in the face.
I mean, he had Dragon's Descent with Shyvana, and he's got Dragon's Rage with Lee Sin.
Yep.
He just uses it whenever he wants.
Either or. Westrice going crazy for complexity. Right now, not so much going, like you said, by the tweet of ROBERTxLEE. Very methodical in this one. Much more planned out for complexity.
No more the day of the wild card, it seems. Trying to move into sole possession of 6th, actually. Will be the halfway point through the LCS right after this game as well. Every team will have played 14 of their 28 games. Shockwave.
Shockwave, Wild Growth saved as well. That's the ace in the hole down, so a lot to try and get Voyboy out of the fight. Trying to silence that voice for just a second, but the team is there to save him. 5,000 gold lead, as it looked like they wanted something on that, but just a Glitter Lance and no follow-up. 3-3 in turrets. We're 30 minutes into this game. Both teams testing each other very well.
And how wild would it be for Complexity to be the only 2-0 team this week, and then also have
you got all the 1-1.
Everyone else is 1-1 up until this point. Well, Curse is 0-1. Complexity is 1-0 coming into this final game, and then also have sole possession of 6th when they're just not really expected to do that as far as being the newest team aside from LMQ in the LCS. With all the changes they've had to go through as well, Kez replacing Broken Shard, Prawley being out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yet here they are with a 5,000 gold lead against Curse.
Very strong play. Probably helping to call the shots. ROBERTxLEE doing his thing at 80 carry. The 2 kills, 2 and 2 coming from Complexity, along with the 1 start off of First Blood Kez. He's been a great addition to the team, and he's really helping to get things going in the early game when Complexity really needs it. Frozen hard on Dominate. He's trying to become a big Scorpion. And we see this fight is a little back and forth.
And Westrice is going to try and sustain back up. He sustains much faster than Quas does, which means all these little trades, even if it looks like Quas is winning, as long as he hasn't killed Westrice, Westrice is actually winning.
All right, so the Dragon's Kick, Dragon's Rage is up, but we also have Counter-Strike up as well.
Oh, man!
This means he can't get to Baron. Is Complexity going to try to force a Baron here with the teleport coming in from Westrice? There are no home guards onto Quas, so it'll take a little bit to heal up.
It's that split pushing Lee Sin that Westrice is never really allowed to play because Lee Sin gets banned away from Kez most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has the pressure bottom lane. And this could be that Baron breaking point of the game where we'll see if Complexity has a big enough window to get it.
What a great champion select.
No vision control.
The junglers.
Dominate's
Forcing
pretty far from home.
Onto that Skarner. And you can see how hard it is for him to even get in, to get vision, to help it out. They try to make Complexity dance to the beat of their drum as they push down middle, wards down. And it looks like they're going to go clear for defense on this one.
Special blocks clean away.
A little scary.
There's a nice rotation there by Curse to decide to run into the mid lane instead of around the Baron pit where he didn't have much vision. Complexity kind of forced to respond because of how quickly they made it there. The dance continues.
He's hitting all these shockwaves, or sonic waves, I should say, as well. Oh, Grandmaster goes on. That means he's getting those attack speed stacks. If he gets the dodge up at the right time, Westrice goes in. He goes for the kick. That's the Tempest, but he cannot finish off on the cripple. And it looks like they are backing off on that fight. So close to activating his second E.
He flashed away just to queue back in.
It was a flashy play.
Rather flashy. Was it to dodge the Counter-Strike?
Yeah, I got a freak boo.
35
minutes into this game. 7,000 gold for Complexity. 4-3 in turrets, and it's really not giving anybody more movement around the map. Everything's been happening in the middle, back and forth.
Yeah, Westrice, I just had to go back and watch it again. He flashed away for fun. Like,
Yeah, no.
there was nothing he was dodging from Quas. He just wanted to activate it. He almost got the kill nonetheless. Let's take another look at this sweet, sweet duel. There's going to be a lot of this happening. Obviously, he lands the Q, and he hasn't shopped in quite some time.
Look, he never has a ward, too, so he doesn't really have to flash.
I guess not.
But he
Like,
does anyway.
that's like an escape path if you really wanted it for later in the fight, I imagine. But then
Huzzah!
this one.
Whee!
Way!
Yeah.
Fake him
Missed.
out. Almost got the kill is the crazy
Almost.
thing. If he would have saved his flash, he might have been able to flash after and actually kill Quas.
Dude, why would you do that? That's smart thing.
And that's the
That'd be
power as
crazy.
well. A couple auto attacks onto a frozen hard IWillDominate, still taking him that low.
Yeah.
Means ROBERTxLEE might be reaching that point where Curse just can't fight back anymore.
Definitely a lot of sting coming out of the hands of Robert right now. He's even looking to build up a Blade of the Rune King to get more sustain in there for himself. And with the Infinity Edge finish, those headshots are going to be hitting over 1,000 when he gets them out. Cop. Oh. Getting spit on. Very big gold lead by Complexity. It's been slow. A slow gain from them. They have not put themselves
How
in
many
any
people have to
scary
chase Westrice?
positions. I don't know how many people have to chase him, but he's pretty much kicked everybody in the face at least once. He could have a ward to get out of this one. Oh,
no!
Somebody farmed it. That's not going to work this time.
And the Baron maneuver by Complexity fails. They're actually really low.
Whoa, Quas flashing into this one. No, teleporting right onto that ward in the middle of the fight. Brawley's in the middle. A Glacial Fissure goes across the entire team from Xpecial. All the summoners have been used. All the abilities have been used. Cooldowns are coming up, and they're looking for round 2, but it's going to be Complexity backing off.
Exactly what Complexity could not afford happening to them. Westrice does not distract for long enough, and Curse still makes it up for the Baron. And now they're trying to peel off with 2.
Curse could go down here. That's Quas going down, but they take down the damage. They ace the team with easily enough HP, I think, to take down Baron.
This was Curse's window to come back in the game. They had been getting split pushed the whole time, but we knew that if they could
There we go.
catch Complexity trying to pull off the Baron
Yep.
to close the game, that would be the way Curse makes it back into. And instead of it being Curse that makes the mistake, it's actually Complexity that makes the mistake this game that may actually end up turning it off. Quas teleported in, got another great stun. The ultimate from Xpecial could not have been better. And they just ran Complexity down because, let's be honest, it was a 4v5.
Did not expect Westrice to be out of that one. So you can really see
Nice
now
block there at the
the
end.
4 strong, or now 5 strong with Quas's teleport. Without Westrice, they have the game. He's been able to create so much chaos solo that that's the way their power is. Going into that team fight, Complexity is not stronger than that for Curse.
Yeah.
An unfortunate battle.
404 CS. It's the way he plays that Lee Sin as well. Not necessarily trying to get the kills, but instead just create a bunch of distraction. The question will now become, all right, so we had 35 minutes and Complexity was split pushing wonderfully. Curse found the one opportunity to get a fight, and they got it. But can they get the next fight? Because they're very strong right now. Basically, they need to get wave control so Westrice isn't pressuring an inhibitor of some kind, and then Curse needs to group up as 5 people and push strong into a base with a very hefty turret dive, probably with IWillDominate leading the way to tank the turret, knowing they're so strong in the 5v5 scenarios.
The best, once they get up to the turret, they have that wave that Dominate can kind of skirt through, try to dodge some bindings. A lot of potential on that first grab. Oh, Westrice gets found at the turret. They take the game to the teleport.
Yeah, if Westrice can't distract for Complexity to do something else, it's over. 57 seconds, 5 people with Baron for Curse. These inhibitors aren't in trouble.
Fast move like that definitely means that Curse is now the leader of this game. They're just trying to get some shots on the turret. Watch how far you guys are pushing yourselves. The minion wave is still far behind. Taking out a few shots. Curse rethinks the bottom, and it looks like they're going to go head off to mid lane. Whoa. Pretty chaotic disperse here for Curse, taking a little bit more damage than they would actually like to get that second tier turret middle.
So the inhibitors live to see another day. It's just another outer turret of Complexity falls to kind of even the scale for the overall game. Westrice.
Westrice is getting to be a big boy. 2,000 gold up on Quas. Actually just fit a Bloodthirster into his pocket. With Looks like he's trying to do some more damage. Only has the Randuins for defense, but
Funny thing is,
doing what he can to split.
he's more vulnerable now than he's ever been, even if he's ahead in gold. The scaling levels of Lee Sin don't exactly transition into 16,000 gold too well.
Yeah.
He's been getting caught out much more as well, especially because Curse is now even stronger in these 5v5s with the Baron buff. Split pushing becomes more dangerous. He needs ward control before he can do that stuff safely.
And that's what Curse has gained. Looking at the right side where they just took out Complexity, it's a line of wards, just as long as the lane is. Complexity is trying to regain a little bit of control. Curse, again, going to try to dictate this middle lane. They also have the top lane to push as well with this Baron's gone. See what they decide to do.
Yeah. Probably wait for Dragons and Barons to come back up, generally, even though their
30
Baron buff is
seconds.
still on, but the Dragon will be up soon. They want to be hitting those 6-item breakpoints. Although it's interesting because Complexity is kind of there. They want the double QSS to void against the Skarner. There'll be a Scimitar on ROBERTxLEE. That'll kind of cap him out. Probably is effectively capped out right now as QSS doesn't transition into any ability power items for him. So Complexity would kind of have to go now, but they can't because their whole game plan revolves around Westrice creating split push pressure. By the time that happens,
Yeah.
Curse is all going to be at 6 items probably and catch themselves up with the main carries of Complexity.
And Quas now back in the face of Westrice. Can't necessarily push down the turret, but Curse can now spread Complexity thin here. Voyboy scooting over with Whimsy flying across the screen. The rest of Complexity wants to get out of the base a little bit. You can see some forward wards being placed, but nothing that puts them into danger. Cop cleaning up the outside turrets. Now they just have the possibility to go around the horn of Complexity's base here on the inhibitors.
They're using their recently acquired map control to just get the gold back to even.
Doing a great game so far. Curse really taking advantage of the fact that Complexity wasn't trying to super push an advantage. The split push was all they had, and Curse said, if we can wait this out, then we will have the upper hand. Making a great move as Complexity went for Baron. Curse really able to put themselves back in this game, just with the waiting game on their side.
Yeah.
It wasn't looking good.
Yeah, really, the breaking point was exactly when Westrice died.
Right behind Dragon.
Yeah, and then the
Not
fact that
helping.
Complexity was so committed to doing that Baron, thinking Westrice was going to distract them long enough, yet by the time they finished him off, Curse was just already on their way top.
Frozen Heart now coming in for Kez. This is definitely going to affect Quas a bit. Not so much Cop. Caster AD. Gold has been nicely closed from about 4,000 or 5,000 now. Just under $1,000. There is the skill shot crowd control that Dominate faces. It's right in the hands of Kez. Making their way down the mid lane. 1 minute on Baron Jat. It's going to have to be a big fight of some summoners and ults blown for anybody to want that.
Yeah, and I'm honestly wondering if Quas is strong enough now that Westrice can't even do the dance he was doing with him before. Although Robert is at a point where he is quite threatening as well. I think Complexity wants to play more of a poke game instead of committing themselves into Baron for the get.
Holy macaroni.
Speedy Skarner with that Whimsy.
487 he was clocked out there, and that was just on the end of it.
Yeah, wait for the Whimsy. He probably shoots up around 6.
515.
That's without the Whimsy. That's just Skarner.
Oh, yeah, it's still him. This will be good. We'll keep it on him as he flies through, maybe for his first engage. Nobody's going to be able to catch that. Now, this is the chaos that Dominate can make, but if Complexity has the vision to cut out the wards, he almost has no entry but for that flash engage we were talking about earlier. They've left it up to Annie's in the past. They can do it with a Skarner.
Yeah, Dominate does get up around 700 move speed when he gets Whimsy, but he goes 0 when he gets hit by Binding.
So many shields for him to take. ROBERTxLEE gets real aggressive on that. Pulls the calling out of Cop. Very nice to be trading the ults back and forth. And looks like Complexity holds all of theirs in that engagement. Just missed. 44 minutes on the clock. Everybody's trying to get a grab that would just give them the upper hand here. Bubbadub trying out, missing it, but the wards on Baron are really the priority here. Oh, Kez gets grabbed. That's a tanky Kez, though. Where's the damage from Cop to be able to finish out a tank? That's going to be a lot of return damage to Xpecial. Ace in the hole, blocked by Dominate, who also took quite a bit of damage throughout that fight. Quas on the backside, hitting up Kez, who's back almost to some good HP here.
Oh, wow.
Cop hits up ROBERTxLEE, almost takes him down. He gets enough shields, and they have to be careful. Quas is still hovering around the side of their fight area.
Nobody died, which is the amazing thing at the end of this one. Even with all the teleports and flashing in, some big-time disengage coming out from the Lulu right there. I don't even really know what happened there, quite honestly. Because really, it was showing you how powerful ROBERTxLEE can be with his auto attacks, how threatening Probably can be with just his oriented ball combos, and how if Curse doesn't pull the right target, how they do not have the burst potential to take someone down without Jax. But they kill this Baron exceedingly quickly. This is the fight they need to force, actually.
Oh, Westrice is there. The only thing he has percentage is that Q. He does hit it on Baron. They're going to try to wait. Kez flashes forward, gets up, does not get the smite on the way down. It's going over to Dominate. Kez smites early, and it looks like they are going to be going all out in this fight. Somebody's going to a Nexus. A beautiful shockwave of 3 people. The double kill comes out for Probably. They're trying to lock down the fight. Ace in the hole coming in. It goes over to Quas, takes him down. We're looking at 70 seconds on Death Chambers right now. Bubbadub's almost stuck in the pit, and Cop's trying to chase down, but Probably offering too much utility for the fight to continue from the side of Curse.
Wow, what a big play right there, getting the smite secure and then nearly dying off. ROBERTxLEE was within a hit of death. Otherwise, he could have just ended the rest of Curse, but they have the extra man right now, and he is life-stealing up quickly. So Complexity pushes down mid, Voyboy trying to defend.
Basically every shot around 800 damage coming out of the muzzle of ROBERTxLEE right now. The dissonance, only a few shots from Robert will be needed. Cop, you cannot be in range. Throws out the culling. It's only going to hit ROBERTxLEE down to half. He'll heal that back up, and the inhibitor will be theirs as well. Complexity turns it back around.
Back and forth and back again. What kind of game is this? Complexity. Kez flashed into range so he could repel, I believe. And then Westrice safeguards into the pit right there. But then it's just pretty much watching the carries right here. Watch Robert and watch Cop right here, plus the shockwave from Probably. Orianna will do more late game damage than Lulu, and it was a huge shockwave. And then Robert is just freely shooting right there. But the Glitterlands tagged him, so they couldn't necessarily.
Right.
If they would have clean ace there, there's a chance they would have had enough power to just run through and end the game.
Yeah.
How close this game is when it's at 47 minutes.
70 seconds on the clock is so much time to move around the map freely. We even have Voyboy still coming up from the last fight. That's how long this is. Full replay. Voyboy's still considering what to do when he comes out. Everybody's near max items here. We even have Voyboy looking to build the Lich Bane for himself for some extra damage. He has the Zanyas. Not seen any Guardian Angels come out this game. Everybody's going for the defense of the Banshee's Veil, some Thornmail, and everything that'll keep you in the fight just for one chance.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that Probably is still sitting on his Quicksilver Sash, even though it is great for him to have added insurance against a Skarner pull.
Yeah.
He should be positioned so heavily in the back and could really use some extra ability power with that last move, or even just a Banshee's Veil to save a bit more general defenses against Curse's onslaught.
ROBERTxLEE getting to be a big boy. Zephyr put in his inventory as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting at 2.1 attack speed.
2.5 is the highest, so he's right there.
With 383 attack damage. So, I mean, he is just as big as he can get in this game. Well, once he buys a red elixir, then he'll be over 400.
He's the only one in the game to amass 20,000 gold for himself. Everybody's pretty close, though, as Complexity makes a move.
It's kind of that super late game we were talking about. If ROBERTxLEE gets strong enough, the Caitlyn power could override the Jax power when you consider there are attack speed slows coming out of Westrice's Lee Sin into the thick of things.
You know, we saw Tabs do the same thing to a very fed Lucian over in Europe. When he got a hold of Caitlyn in the late game, he zeroed everyone out in the game. ROBERTxLEE has a very good chance of doing that here. Quas onto Westrice. This brings 2 of the brutes out of the fight now. Nothing's really going to happen in the top. Just still peppering that inhibitor turret as these two going back and forth. Inhibitor should be coming back up quite soon for these guys. Probably got a minute or so left on this. After that Baron, they were kind of muddling about quite a bit. So as long as Quas can hold this, Curse will still be all right.
Imagine Quas is probably going towards a GA with his last item. Maybe a Thornmail even, just because he needs so much arm to deal with ROBERTxLEE. ROBERTxLEE doesn't have a Bloodthirster. He's just sitting on 10% lifesteal that late in the game. So Thornmails would actually be a good way of countering his damage because he would heal himself, hitting tanks.
It hurts. You hope you can heal up that damage that's coming in, but it doesn't work as well when you're hitting harder than that. 50 minutes on the clock. Last game, or last time these teams played, the game ended 7 minutes ago with victory for Complexity. They're looking to get the same result, just a little longer. Get out the culling. That's going to relieve some pressure. Dominate down to half HP. A lot of home guards are in the hands of Curse, so they'll be able to get back and defend. But these traps, the traps are doing a great job at keeping the pressure off. They should be able to get another inhibitor coming up soon.
And their base turret was just strong enough to ward off the minions.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big wave working down there.
That turret
Curse
down to
is
about 25%.
afraid to hard engage because they cannot get a reliable thing with Skarner, knowing the Black Shield is there and the multiple QSS options.
Gosh.
Complexity has.
ROBERTxLEE almost solo dropping the inhibitor by himself with the coordination of his team's strength around him. Really being able to put fear in the eyes of Curse right now. The flash, Glacial Fissure. They grab Westrice. Is that who they want? It's going to be ROBERTxLEE on the back line, shooting anybody he wants. Dominate now goes for him. A great focus by Cop. Everybody turns tide right on the correct people and priorities of Complexity. Curse, turn this one around for themselves. They can't help proudly, but Curse needs to stay on the move.
Quas is really big and was a menace that fight. This is going to be interesting to see how much Curse can turn off of this. They can't even defend their inhibitor. Come on.
Oh. Said it was only going to be a minute, but in that minute, they're out of their base. This could be the end of the game completely. The 70-second timers are longer than that now. Kaz gets taken out. They don't have any minion waves to push. This is going to be brute force.
Yeah, it is very hard to take down turrets at this stage in the game. Right now, that turret has 250 armor. They get a backdoor bonus if there's no minions there. So Curse will not kill these super quickly, but they do have a lot of tankiness and a lot of shields. IWillDominate is sitting on 300 armor. They're going for the inhibitors.
Here's the thing. Soul Shackle's going to be coming up, but it will be down. Westrice could be up. It looks like they're demolishing as much as possible, knowing the strength of what they just saw should be enough for a final push while letting Complexity respawn. After 2 inhibitors, another game turnaround by Curse.
What a swingy game this is. Whew. Complexity has these type of games.
Yeah.
It seems.
Holy crap. This has been awesome.
Technically, Complexity's right at home. Because this is the chaos we can come to expect from that game. 52 minutes in. ROBERTxLEE can't get any stronger. Probably can't get any stronger because he's still sitting on that Quicksilver Sash.
This is when,
could still theoretically get items. He doesn't have a late game Zhonya's on Morg. He's actually incredibly starved when you compare him to the tank support like Xpecial. The goal difference between supports is non-existent, but just the tank items and the survivability differential is really, really important.
It looks like Cop is taking a page out of his old 80 carry book with the KDA. 7-0-7 in this game of chaos. Somehow he is the only person that has not fallen. Really putting out damage for his team in the same aspect. He was right on to ROBERTxLEE in that last fight. A really good focus from him. Help to change it.
Well, I mean, Complexity can kill this Baron in about 5 seconds. So Quas would need to teleport in really quickly if Complexity starts forcing it. But it's also probably the most suicidal thing ROBERTxLEE could do to go for that Baron right now, knowing they're down 2 inhibitors and that Jax is going for a 3rd. Complexity's got to go back to their base and forfeit this Baron to Curse.
Guardian Angel starting to come out for Quas. He's even more of a threat and will take even more power to take down. Kaz is going to try to get some vision on, and it looks like they are going to dance. They will clear it, and so far they're hesitating. Skarner's in mid, so they're holding for now.
Complexity does not have the tools to contest this Baron. There are 2 waves of super minions that require a full-time heavy attack damage defender, as well as a defender for the Jax. So the fact that Prawley and Kez are out there is just wishful thinking, but mainly a huge risk.
And this is such a hard feeling for Complexity to have, but for Curse, smiles on their faces. They have pushed themselves to get this type of advantage. Vision from just the minions inside the base of Complexity in a very hard-fought game.
Yeah.
Now Baron to come out at 54 minutes. 3 of 7 dragons, but 3 of 3 Barons go to Curse throughout the game.
The hardest fought game.
Oh yeah.
At this point. and no split push pressure from Westrice happening here. The third inhibitor will be pressured heavily by Curse, and you do not see generally comebacks come from 3 inhibitors down, but Quas gets kicked in. This could be the fight.
Kicked in, kicked out, gets the wild growth as well. They're taking quite a bit of damage from the turret. Quas isn't really getting any help from the team right now. Shockwave going out huge. That catches Voyboy and Xpecial. Voyboy goes down. Kez takes him out. They can't seem to get through the front door. Kez now up into the fight. That's going to be a kill. Probably moves the ball. Gives the entire team the assists across the board for both kills, but they still have a base to defend.
Listen, though. Prawley knows best about keeping his Quicksilver Sash in his inventory for this long.
Yes, so.
Because Dominate flashed to try and get him. He QSS'd it and then turned the fight around. They saved both of their Nexus turrets. They do not lose their third inhibitor, and they want more.
They're going to teleport in.
No, he was just playing.
He's just playing. And
who needs teleport?
Scared me. Dominate's going to be there to help them. They don't have a turret to worry about. They have an inhibitor they're going to be able to take down here.
That's an open inhibitor.
So
There's 2 open inhibitors and 37 seconds of time. I wonder if they would try to end the game here.
It would be very hard. There's way too much crowd control. Slow lockdown for them to really get this. They shouldn't mess around with this. Know that they can get the minion waves out of the inhibitors and go for the inhibitors. It will help them in the long run. If they try to finalize this, it might cost them the game. They're losing their Nexus turrets right now.
They're gonna go for it. There's only 12 seconds left on the death timers. This is it.
Complexity is headstrong on trying to defeat Curse right now with the Nexus turrets. They do finally get the inhibitor, but they have taken almost all of their HP in this engagement. They thought the win would come strong, but Curse has stopped it. Now Curse is the one that can take the forward advantage.
The
teleport back.
Quas is going for it.
He's in the base. This is going to be an inhibitor knockdown. He's got minions on his side coming in as well. They might not be supers, but look at what Curse is doing. They're working together to stop Complexity. And you're right, nobody in their right mind, not even this super minion right here, can stop Quas. 56 minutes into the game, he's going to be solo dropping that Nexus.
Riv, nobody on Complexity can make it back to base except for Robert.
Oh my God. Oh my God. There's 1, there's 2. Is he on the fountain? No. Wait a minute. No way. That's going to be the damage. 1 last hit. They stop it. Voyboy's win. Here's the rest of the team. This is absolutely incredible right now. Another minute passes and the game hasn't ended. Quas is on it. 57 minutes in. Curse takes down Complexity.
And it's only fitting that this was yet another Complexity base race. 100,000 gold from Curse by the end of that one. Comp deathless somehow at the end of that absolutely chaotic game.
Awesome. Holy crap, that was an awesome game to watch. I need more expletive words to describe this. What an all-out knockdown battle coming from both teams. The game, they weren't even really throws.
Yeah.
They were prioritized attempts at engagements, and one team just came out stronger on each time.
I haven't seen a much bigger smile on Xpecial's face for a very long time. And that comes when you have a game that swingy, that was just on a razor's edge until the very, very end of the game. A lot of very close skill shot dodges, QSS uses. Honestly, the Thorn Mail on IWillDominate, even though it's a little specific for this moment, pretty much decided the game. When they were trying to push in, ROBERTxLEE nearly killed himself hitting IWillDominate, and that prompted the initial retreat.
Yeah.
And then because of that, when he teleported in to stop Quas, he was so much lower when all that stuff was happening.
What an amazing game. And the caliber of the LCS ups the experience you just had as well. Usually those are teams that are, floundering at the bottom, and the plays like that because they haven't cooperated. They haven't gotten together. But these are teams that are beating top teams in the league, and this is why the games are going long, because they push each other to the limits.
Exactly. Complexity is the team that beat EG yesterday. And just a few notes. 1-1 again. For every team in the LCS.
For sure.
And the reason this is so damn impressive is because it had never happened in North America before in over a year and a half of the LCS, and it's happened 2 weeks in a row.
Whew, what games. Right now, we're going to throw it down to Kobe, who's Rift side.
Thank you, Riv. All right, I'm here with Dominate, the jungler for Curse. Congratulations after your win. After a game like that, okay, you've just ensured that every team has gone 1-1 in the North American LCS. and a crazy game like that going back and forth. How do you feel overall about the landscape of the North American LCS now with all the teams so close?
I definitely think it just shows how close all the teams are in skill level. Any team can win versus any team on any given day. And yeah, the last 2 weeks, you've just had a bunch of 1-1s, and it just means that going into the end of the season, all the teams are going to be fighting for those playoff spots.
All right, now let's talk about Skarner. First, the one to bring it out here, Dominate. A lot of people were saying when he initially came out that he was OP, but I feel like that was an overreaction. Actually, how do you feel about the relative power of Skarner after playing him?
I think Skarner's a decent jungler. He's a level 6 jungler that is useful if all the other junglers are banned, which is kind of what they tried to do that game. They took Elise and Lee Sin on the first 2 picks, thinking that if they just took one, I would just take the other. So it was actually a really smart strategy from them. They banned out the Rengar, we banned Eve, and then they took 2 junglers. So it was kind of what was left. And I just thought that Skarner was a good pick there over something like a Nocturne or a Vi.
In late game, actually, if you use the ult for suppression, then the jungler can't smite against you. When Kez came in for it, were you just focused on Baron health? Because you didn't actually use it. You still got the smite, and you still got the Baron.
Yeah, it was actually a really confusing situation because the call was to turn off, but it was so low that we needed to kill the Baron. So I was just kind of focused on getting that clutch smite. I wanted to be able to secure the Baron because I felt like if we lost the Baron there, we'd probably lose the fight too, and it could have been game.
And ending a game like this in the late game, what does that do for a team's confidence? Because you guys have been struggling lately, but coming out in these end game scenarios, when it's so close like that, it's got to be a boost for you guys.
It's a little bit of a boost, but to be honest, we're not really happy with our play. We made a lot of mistakes that game, and even once we had 2 inhibitors and Baron, we almost threw in the last 30 seconds. So yeah, we just have a lot to work on, so we'll be practicing hard and get ready for Super Week.
All right, well, good luck in Super Week. Thank you, Dominate. We're now going to throw it back up to the guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Kobe. And if we pull up the standings, we see after all the explosive games today, a new patch taking effect. The order of our standings are exactly how they were at the start of the week. And first, it's once again CLG, LMQ, and Dignitas.
And keeping pace 1 game back, it's Cloud9 and TSM who are tied for 4th place, and alone in 6th, it's Curse.
That's right. Tied for last place, we have Evil Geniuses and Complexity. Once again, every team ends the week going 1-1. So we want to break down some of the key playmakers. First up, it's going to be Zion Spartan. You can count on him to be a bully in the top lane, and his Jax split pushes is too dangerous for any team to ignore.
Yeah, he really plays Jax to his full potential. Next, it is Amazing in the jungle. Now, he had a great game on Jarvan, even in the loss, and has continued to look better as he synergizes with the rest of TSM.
That he does. An OP in mid, it's going to be Xiao, who played very well on Yasuo. He was able to shut down the skill shots of Team Solo Mid, and now LMQ end the week once again, tied up for first.
And Wild Turtle showed you have to bring a whole team if you want to take him down. He outplayed 2 big LMQ members on that Lucian game, trying to salvage a victory, but he still had those 15 kills, most of an 80 carry this week.
Oh yeah, and OP as support is Crepo, who has been on point with his Dark Bindings to help his team pick up kills and objectives. But the man who stole the spotlight this week was GSM's Wild Turtle.
Yeah, and obviously it could have been anyone this week, it seems like, because everyone was so close. But there were just so many exceptional plays from Wild Turtle. The way he team-fighted were just fantastic. He's improving more and more since a rough start to the split. He's a great 80 carry right there.
Really someone who steps up when he needs to, can pull out different champions, and can also do those deathless games like Cop just had as well. Wild Turtle, definitely someone to have on your fantasy team if you don't. He's been putting up numbers lately. Don't forget the LCS returns with a super week lineup of games starting Tuesday with an all-new LCS preview show.
Then the European LCS gets underway with Roccat facing off against Fnatic. After that, SK Gaming will take on Gambit, followed by the Copenhagen Wolves versus Roccat.
Indeed. Then the North American LCS hits your browsers on Friday with LMQ versus Cloud9.
And then Complexity will face off against CLG, and as we know, anything can happen. Followed by Dignitas taking on Evil Geniuses.
So true. Be sure to head over to LOLesports.com to get the full and complete schedule if you want. As we throw it over to Freak and Zyrene for the North American Challenger Series Summer Play-In, let's take a quick look at some of today's huge moments.
Turkey. Yeah? Turkey. What's turkey? How do you turkey? Turkey. A turkey? Turkey. No, like here.
They're fighting
no
top?
flash. They have no flash. Video.
Okay, keep going.
Very easy game. We can win. Wait. think he stands his ground.
Whoa, that's what the BS sword pickaxe damage looks like from a Lucian early game. The calling comes in. Oh, it doesn't. The piercing light all the way through Crepo.
I have a pool full of Diet Coke and I'm on a diet. Diet's gonna be a rapper, dude.
Wow, Turtle can put out big damage, but can he do 3 more members? Play a free kick. He gets a double kill. Trying to explode. That's the combo of Tristana into Yasuo. They were ready for it that time. They wipe out Team Solo Mid.
Instead of going under, instead of going under.
There's his initiation right here. Tries to go hard. They get the shockwave down onto him. If there's enough crowd control, they can't turn onto him. But the second they can, he's obliterated.
Are we looking at the camera? You're looking at the camera and you're going.
And it looks like they are going to be going all out in this fight. Somebody's going to a Nexus. A beautiful shockwave of 3 people. The double kill comes out for Prowley. They're trying to lock down the fight.